Bad thing to be nitpicky when doing online dating? Hi there, men's dating coach HarryWilmington here, founder of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. And on today's show, we're answering a question from a guy on Reddit who wants to know if being nitpicky could actually result in him not having the kind of dating life that he wants online. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon to be notified when I post up new daily videos. Also, go to the website to check out my free video training, How to Get Attractive, Feminine, Emotionally Stable Women Dying to Respond to Your First Messages on Dating Apps Without Using Sleazy Pickup Lines, which will give you key secrets to sparking attraction and conversations with women online the smart way. Let's get into it. All right, so as you guys know, this week we're focusing on online dating. And the reason we're doing this is very simple, is because I feel as though online dating is one of the best ways for men, especially introverted men, to be able to find the love of their life, to be able to meet interesting people, and to be able to have the kind of dating life that they want. And so if you're a guy that has been struggling with online dating, I understand. I struggled for a lot of years before I finally figured out a blueprint that works time and time again to be able to allow me the ability to get anywhere between 1 to 4 dates per week when doing online dating. And I call it my Smart Digital Dating Program. Now, right now, I have this program available. You can go to smartdigitaldating.com/enroll to see what the program has to offer. But it is very simply put, the complete step-by-step A through Z system on how to meet, greet, attract, and date women online by way of, knowing how to put the right pictures, the kind of bio to put together, how women experience online dating, the kinds of messages you should be sending when you first match with a woman online, how to continue that conversation, and then, of course, how to ask her out on a date and the kind of first date you should be proposing. And all this stuff is designed to, like I said, to give you the dating life that you want, and it's based on years of trial and error. So none of this stuff in this program is theory. It is all stuff that is based on how I online date, and I'm very, very successful at it, okay? So yeah, so right now I have a special going on whereby if you get this program between now and December 2nd, which is, I believe, next Wednesday, then you get an extra bonus with this program, which is access to me. I will set up a conversation with you by way of Skype, Zoom, or a phone call, and we'll have 45 minutes to really just chat with each other about anything dating related, but specifically about online dating, about the trials and tribulations you've had with it. We can talk about a strategy for you that's going to allow you to effectively be able to get the kind of profile that you need to be able to get more matches, and then how to work with those conversations and stuff like that based on wherever you're at in your dating life. So that is a free bonus that I'm adding on to this, and this program is not cheap, but it is a program that I believe is going to get you results. That said, I do offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you get the program, look through all the videos, test out everything. If you decide for 30 days this just isn't for you, write me, say, hey, Harry, it's just not for me, and I will refund 100% of your money, no questions asked. But check out what the program has to offer. Again, smartdigitaldating.com/enroll. Check that out today, okay? So we're answering all online dating questions this week. And so this one I thought was very interesting, and I kind of had my own thoughts about his question. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the title is there much of a point using online dating if I'm going to be very nitpicky? He says, 25-year-old guy here. I've been dating and using dating apps since I was 20. And over the past 5 years, I have formulated a definitive ideal of what I want in partners. So he has a list. He says, things that make me swipe right, which is a yes, is alternative looks, vintage, goth, cottagecore, etc., whatever that is. He says sex positivity, semi-nude pics, posing with sex toys, posing in kinky outfits. Let's see, interest or involvement in the arts. And it says minimal, moderate, or no makeup. Then he says things that make me swipe left, which means he's rejecting them. One is generic selfie montages, filtered selfie montages, generic white girls at a restaurant/bar/function pics, and heavy makeup. He continues on and says, I have had mixed feelings about online dating over the past 3 years. For one, I am willing to wade through the BS in order to find the right matches, but simultaneously, I have been questioning whether it is really worth the effort and whether I should instead utilize other avenues. I have been cold approaching women. That means, for those that aren't familiar with that term, that means cold approaching is you walk up on a girl in public and ask her out. Has been my main outlet for dating, sex, relationships, but that has turned to crap since the COVID-19 pandemic has cut tourism off to my country, and he lives in New Zealand. Hence, online dating has been my main outlet for attempting to meet women. However, I have found myself swiping left for the above detailed preferential issues and biases. I think it's important to be honest with myself, but also to pinpoint what are the best avenues. My goal since the end of my city's second lockdown has been to involve myself more in the arts community and go to as many gigs as possible. I am involved in my city's experimental music scene, but I do not bank on that as my only social outlet. So kudos New Zealand to not having a lockdown. We just in California just went back into one. So a little more difficult out here, but online dating is still a possible thing. You just have to know prior to meeting the person, like if you want to take that risk, possibly take a COVID test yourself, have them take one, and then hey, you're grown. You're going to do what you want to do, you know? But anyway, I did want to talk about the thing of people that have like specific things that they so-called think that they need or want, okay? And this is one of those things where ultimately it's at your discretion. It really boils down to how expansive do you want your online dating life to be? Because, you know, to be fair, there are some nitpicky things that most people have. I know for me, a big one was, well, I don't think this was nitpicky. Like I don't want to have kids. So a woman that either had kids or thought potentially in the future she would want to have kids was automatically out, okay? But there are things that I think people are a little too picky about at times that could result in them not being able to possibly meet a person that could be great for them, you know? So perfect example, take me for example, okay? For the longest time, I would not want to date women that were either slightly taller than me or smoked weed. You know, like it's just a disgusting habit. I don't want to see it, whatever. And what I found was that, you know, this is just my experience, but there were women out there that didn't smoke weed, for example, and I would date them, and it was, you know, I thought it initially was cool, but they might not be as adventurous or as open to trying new things, whether it's in the bedroom or in real life. And they were holding back on a lot. Versus, I dated a couple of girls that did smoke weed, and initially I was like, oh, you know, the smoking thing kind of turns me off a little bit, but they'd be the ones most open to like doing things in bed or trying new things on trips or, you know, really catering to things that I like, not just being about themselves or, you know, not being so shelled when they're around my friends. And so I started to realize like, oh, there's a trade-off here. Like, not that I'm saying every weed smoker is going to be that open, because that's not true. And there are women that don't smoke weed that also can be that open and vibrant. But it came down to like, how big of a deal is this thing? Like, is this thing they're doing, whether A, they're not doing it around me, or if they do, weed smell, for example, doesn't really like leave that lingering of a scent, unlike cigarette smoke, which does. But like weed smoke, usually they blow it out, you can smell it for a little bit, and then it just kind of goes away, and then you can't smell it anymore, especially if they're like vaping or doing whatever. But it's like, how big of a deal was that to me? Is this woman's habit of smoking weed going to outweigh her wanting to cook for me or clean for me or do things in bed that I want to do without having to push her for it or being able to be vibrant around my friends? Like, what's the trade-off? And ultimately, I decided that for me, the weed thing was ultimately just a nitpicky thing. I didn't want to do it. Therefore, I felt that if the girl that I was with did it, that it would, you know, in some way represent me or I'd feel some kind of way about it. And it turned out that that was one of those things that I just was able to let go. Like I just did, because I recognized that, you know, there's going to be some habits that I do that if a habit that I had turned off a woman that would care for me otherwise, I'd be like, well, why is this one thing going to stop you? And I realized like, oh, I have things that I'm putting out there about women, whether they're said too much tall or smoking weed or whatever, that is holding me back from being open to the possibility of meeting somebody that could be great for me in all these other ways. And at this point, I'm kind of like an 80-20 guy. Like if the person that I'm with is doing 80% of what I like, and there's like 20% of things where we might have a disagreement or argue about some stuff, or they have a certain habit that I don't like, am I trying to throw away the 80% to try to hopefully find that 20%? And at this point in my life, the answer is no. But I'm 38. Back in my 20s, I was advocatively not going to date certain kind of women. If they had any kind of major tattoos on them, I was not going to date them. If they smoked weed, I was not going to date them. And I passed up on a lot of women that, you know, fast forward down the line, years later, they turn out to be great women. They were great picks. They, you know, are kind and caring. And the person that they're with is like immensely happy with them. So at the age that he's at 25, it can seem like it's really, really important to have to get like everything on this list. And the funny thing is guys, we complain about women having a list of, oh, they want X, Y, and Z, but men do it too. You know, this guy said he doesn't, if a woman has heavy makeup on in the picture, he's not going to date her. What if she was like, had a job as a clown? Or what if she was like an influencer who tried on makeup products for a living and thought this would be a way to attract guys on a dating app? You know, like you don't know why that picture's up there. You just know that you're seeing it and it's not attractive. And that's something women need to be taught, that we don't want to see them with a whole lot of makeup on. But does this thing that she's showing you now dictate that she's going to treat you bad? or that you're not going to be able to have a fun experience with her. Like, you don't know. For all you know, she might have been a burn victim. Or she might have scars on her face from, bad acne or whatever, where she's got to cover with makeup. You don't know her story. But you're not even trying to go out to learn her story because you're being discriminatory against her on this app. Now, obviously, as you go through dating apps, you're not going to say yes to every single woman that you come across because you'd be there all day and that'd be very, very tiresome, okay? But you got to really look at like the complete package of a woman and decide if after seeing everything that she has to offer, if you want to swipe left or swipe right. So for example, let's say you see a girl and she looks pretty in a picture, okay? You might want to swipe right, but did you look at her bio? Did you actually have a conversation with her to see if you guys gelled well with a sense of humor or interest or whatever? Like, if you didn't do those things, you don't have a complete picture of this person yet. You might see a girl that looks pretty, but then if you didn't look at her bio might say she's like a Satan worshiper, or she has like 3 kids and she's not gonna reject them for no man or whatever. Like, you don't know her attitude because you're just going off her picture. So you're not taking the whole situation and seeing what it is. Or you might see a girl that's just kind of average looking. Or let's say, for example, she has heavy makeup on in her picture, but did you scroll down? Did you see the part where she says she's like a kind, caring person that likes to give to charities and that she's down to do anything in the bedroom and that she enjoys the same things that it turns out you actually like too? Like, you didn't even have that conversation. So what I recommend guys to do is this, is that, yes, it's okay to have certain non-negotiables in terms of dating. Like I said, mine was kids. So if a woman has kids, I'm not trying to date. Even with that, there were girls that I saw on dating apps at times that they said they had like 1 kid. And I'd be like, you know what? I just need to go out anyway, because a lot of this isn't necessarily about just finding a match that's going to be perfect, which is ideally what you're trying to do, but also some of it's practice. For some of you guys that are, haven't had a lot of dating practice, like I said, this guy's 25. There might be some of you guys in your early 20s or late teens that haven't had a lot of practice dating. Well, the reality is you don't get good at that by just picking one person and then they're going to be the perfect one. Like, you have to go through the pains of going out with women and practicing asking for a date, practicing being able to pick out the kind of date to take her on, practicing conversation, practicing how to go for the good night hug or the good night kiss. Like, all these things are things that right now you might not actually have had practice at, therefore it's not a habit. But the more you do it, the more habitual it becomes to where you'll be less anxious about it and it'll be just a natural part of who you are. So like for me now, like I said, when I go on dates now, on those first dates, I know by the second date, I'm already going to kiss her. Like, there's no question at the end of the second date, I'm going to kiss her. But why is that? Because I've had practice doing it all these years. When I first started out doing dating, I was so nervous, I'd wait until like date 4 or 5 to try to go for the kiss. And by that time, they're no longer interested because they expected the kiss to happen on date number 2. So I just had to do it a lot more. And so the great thing about online dating in particular is you have a lot of opportunities to match up with women and to get that practice. So even if you don't think this woman might be the end all be all, the reality is if she matches with you, she might just be good practice. And hey, we could all use a good time. It could be an excuse for you to get out of your house. Because I know as introverts, we spend a lot of time inside, but you need to actually get out of your house in order to practice dating. And so if nothing else, online dating gives you that ability to have a better chance at getting a girl to say yes to a date so you can meet her out in public. We're in a pandemic now, but like when this stuff goes away, or you can still go on a park walk and just walk across from each other, but you'll have the ability to go in person and have these comfortable feelings of conversations and stuff because you've been able to practice a lot more. So if a girl you meet online isn't quite what you think it is, or you're like, oh, well, she has too much makeup, or oh, her selfies are too filtered. Well, you know what? That might just be a girl that, if you match with her, might just be good practice. And that's fine, because guess what, guys? Women ask us out sometimes simply because they don't want to feel like they can't get a guy. So it boosts their ego. So if you're able to match with a girl, even if it's just for the ego boost, and it allows you to get some good practice, I am all for that, okay? So in terms of being nitpicky, as you get older, you'll find that there's going to be a difference between things that you wish weren't there and things that definitely can't be there. So nitpicky things like, oh, well, her hair is like a little shorter than I normally want, or oh, she wears glasses instead of contacts. Those are things that are like, in the grand scheme of things, are not as important as like, oh, does she want kids? Has she been in an abusive relationship before? Is she going to talk down to me when I, try to suggest things or have a disagreement with her? Those things are going to be more important for the long term than that little thing you might be nitpicking about. So really consider that when you're out there doing online dating. And like I said, You go to the website, I have, a whole program, Smart Digital Dating, and we talk about that. We talk about how, how to really tell a woman that might potentially be a good match for you versus not. But we do talk about like the fact that, she doesn't have to be completely perfect. And I think a lot of times guys go online dating thinking that they got to find the absolute perfect person. You're not going to even find that in real life, okay? But you might find somebody that has 80% of what you want, and that other 20% that's just kind of nitpicky, you'll learn how to let go relatively fast. Now that you've heard from me, I'd like to hear from you. What are some other nitpicky things that you need to let go when online dating? If you're watching this online, leave a comment down below or write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. If you found the info in this episode to be helpful, please show your support by clicking on the tip jar tab, the link of which can be found at the website and in the description below. While there, you can also download a free copy of my ebook, Texting Like a Boss, where you'll learn the kinds of texts that really attract women. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment on this episode, and catch new episodes 7 days a week right here on YouTube or wherever podcasts can be found. In the meantime, be sure to check out some other episodes so that you too can learn to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.